Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this version of SEER2. Just so everybody knows, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available after we're done. What I'd like to make sure you do is make sure you're on mute for us. And Scott Sparrow and I are going to kind of demystify, hopefully, what this SEER2 thing that's in front of us is and is not going forward. So what I'd like to do is get started here right now. Did I share the screen?
I just need where it's
Yeah,
recorded.
you're okay. So we're going to get started now in the SEER2 transition. Scott and I pulled together a lot of information from AHRI and the U.S. Department of Energy and Goodman. So we just want to kind of unpack all this in a brief period of time, just so you can start being the thought leaders in our market spaces to help our contractors and customers truly understand what SEER2 is going to mean come January 1. So let's go to the next slide, Scott. So just to kind of let you know where this affects, it affects everything. All right, so make no mistake about it. We all know what our business model is on residential. We're in the commercial space. But if you take a look at this slide, 300 plus cooling and heating manufacturers are involved. So pretty much everything that goes out our doors and our customers deal with is being affected by this new thing called SEER2 as we go forward. Next slide, please. So what is this about? So after a lot of reading and a lot of dissecting of what it is, in essence, the government, who's a part of most people's lives in some way, shape, or form or another, has taken a look that says we have to do better on our efficiency ratings, our EER ratings. And of course, SEER comes in to be seasonally adjusted. But, from time to time, the government says, well, we got to do a little better because we still have to reduce our CO2 footprint and our sulfur dioxide footprint. And so how do we do that? So this is all about a lab test that now recalculates and comes up with what we used to know as EER or SEER, SEER. Well, we're at the new version of that. So we're in draft 2.0. So now they've just added, it's called SEER2. And it is about a test. It is about a change in how they test in a lab over how they get their efficiency rating. So it's a mathematical formula based upon changes that they think will get us. In this case, the U.S. government says that by doing this, we should appreciate a 7% increase in energy efficiency, meaning we're going to use less kilowatt hours because of these changes. What we want to be very clear about in this 30 minutes is kind of how this affects the government looks at it as regions. There's the north, the southwest, and the southeast. I just wanted to make sure for our participation, we are talking in the southeast. It happens to include Kentucky. Everything above that would be in the north. And so all of our other markets, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, have a different set of rules. Kentucky is really the mainstay over how this is looked at. Next slide, please. So here's some points to talk about, or if you get some questions, or at least maybe some even just starting comments about, our customers about, hey, you heard about this SEER2 thing. So, the DOE has regulated efficiency since 1992. Kind of a factoid here that says, the average size home consumes about 2,000 kilowatt hours per year. And the math comes out to look at the amount of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide that's being put out because we are using those kilowatt hours from those coal producing plants and so forth and so on. And then just some other kind of quick anecdotes is that if you think about, from mid 70s to where we're on now, we've done better as an industry. We've started to get our efficiencies and our usages down. But again, that'll always be a moving target and we got to continue to be better. And then even units that are even just as new as 10 years ago, we're still doing better because of what has been done with the technology and how we look at those things. So next slide, please. So what exactly is changing? We could go through a lot of math and a lot of formulas. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. So in a testing lab, what they have done is there is a 66% increase in external static pressure, ESP. When you think about when you think about the problems we have with installations today and years ago, external static pressure is always an interesting animal as it relates to how the house breathes and what it can do for you. And so from our side, we see always a lot of problems with static pressures and how do you deal with them? So this test now says, well, we're going to increase our external static pressure from a 0.01 up to a 0.05, which gets you that 66% increase in doing so. By doing that in the formula, the mathematics of it all, that brings our energy efficiency ratios. Okay, so we're reducing those, so we're getting better. Well, what does that mean out in the field and how this is going to affect? Well, we have to be more cognizant of our contractors because with this change going forward, by the way, you're going to have more changes to airflow set points and indoor blower motors. So as we start to think about dip switches and what that's going to mean, we want to be aware of it, cognizant of it, and then when next year starts to roll around, what kind of equipment are we talking about? So we just want to make sure we're telling contractors right and dealing with contractors to make sure we're checking for those things so that we can deliver on the promise of these new energy efficiency things. Next slide, please. So here's the main points of this slide is when you think about how this is going to work and how it's going to roll out. In the Southeast region and for us, Kentucky, it is based upon date of installation. Okay, so on January 5, somebody wants to go out and do an install, and the product that they're trying to move into a homeowner's home was manufactured, in 2022, but falls out of the SEER ranges. No go, no dice, you can't do it. We look in the North region, which contains Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia for us. We can see that it is allowed by date of manufacture, meaning we can sell through. So in that same example, if it was done in December, manufactured in December of 2022, and we are now January 1, 2023, we can still continue to use that equipment to get it through. So it's date of manufacture versus date of installation. So as we look at the systems, so when you have split air conditioners less than 45,000, there's your SEER ratings. Split air conditioners greater than or equal to 45, and this gets into tonnage. There it is, and then single package ACs. And then in the North, you can see what the ratings are, which would be the ratings that you would see on the yellow labels, which we'll show you here in just a moment. Next slide, please. Heat pumps. Here is the important part about heat pumps. This, for all of our markets, so Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, it is date of manufacture, and so sell-through allowed prior to being manufactured in January 1 on the heat pumps for the state of Kentucky. And so there's your numbers on SEER2 and packaged heat pumps. So heat pumps are treated a little differently. It's the split systems and the ACs that we really have to be concerned about. Next slide, please. Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear on this one. What does date of installation mean in Kentucky? That means any compliant installations after 1/1 of 23 must have the new 2023 efficiency standards on that yellow label that is on the exterior of the box. So that is a big point to help explain to our customers date of installation versus date of manufacture. Next slide, please. Here is a sample of current labels. And one of the ways to kind of just read through the label, I know all of us just like to look at these on a daily basis, but just kind of refresh yourself with these. And you can see on the left side, the government on these labels says, by the way, as a reminder, here's the states down here. If you see the map, we got some considerations about where you can and where you cannot apply this particular product. And on the right side, when you do not see the map, understand it's open game. You can put this in any part of the country based upon the product and the efficiency ratings that are stated on that side. Next slide, please. This one here, I could not get a clean example of it, but if you look to the left, we are talking about Kentucky. And so this is where you get into SEER ratings greater than or equal to 15 for the 1.5 up to 3.5 tons, which then gets into the less than 45,000 BTUs. And then you can see the 4 to 5 ton of SEER rating of greater than or equal to 14.5 in the Kentucky region or the southeast part. On the right side with the labels, you will see the maps again occur. This is for the northern territories in our other states, but these were how the labels, again, you're not going to see much change in the labels other than the numbering that's going to go on those labels. So let's go to the next slide. And here is a sample. This is a new label. I got this from Daikin. And this happens to be a Goodman GSXH5. And Scott is going to kind of get into how these things look on the nomenclature side here shortly. And so you can see we're at this point, hey, look at that SEER rating of 14.3 for this particular GSXH. And you can see that in this point in here, this particular item can go in any part of the country because it is greater than or equal to what the minimum standards would be based upon the new calculation of SEER2 and all of its ratings on that side. So that is in essence what all the hubbub's all about, okay? And it is important. And so I'm going to turn it over to Scott right now so that he's going to go through some examples and do some more explanation for you.
All right, slide you are currently looking at is all about the compliance. We are really hammering home the compliance so people can really understand it. Our current basic models that we have out there are being made obviously in 2022. And question is can we install them? In our northern states, yes, we can. Kentucky, we cannot. Kentucky right now, their basic is 14 SEER, but being that the new SEER ratings are changing down there in 2023, all of their 14 SEER units that are air conditioners will have to come up north to the northern stores to be able to sell. Most distributors out there that are in the South do not have the luxury that the Grimmie Group has to have a store up north where they can send these items to. So we will be able to get rid of them to where others will be stuck with their product or have to find someone up north who's probably going to offer them pennies on the dollar to get rid of it. So you're going to see some liquidation down there. We might run into that in Kentucky, that we are going up against other distributors towards the end of the year that they're going to be doing some price gouging to try to get rid of their inventory because they don't want to have to eat it. So keep in mind that going into once 2023 hits in Kentucky, if it's currently in stock now and it is a basic unit, we will not be able to install it. For the AC split systems, when they put out the SEER2, they ranked everything at below and above 45,000 BTUs. So in our terminology, 4 ton, 5 ton, and then 3.5 and below. So the SEER ratings are going to be different for them in all regions. This is a region of Kentucky showing you that, yes, if it is greater than 15 SEER, we can install it. And if it's less than 15 on the SEER2 number on the label, we will not be able to install it. All right. Next. For AC split systems above 45,000 BTU, so 4 and 5 tons, we will be able to install them when they hit that SEER2 rating, to where when they are below the SEER2 rating, we will not. So you'll have that divided line to know that a 4 and a 5 ton job is going to be totally different than a 3.5 and below job. Right? For the package units is pretty nice because the package units are actually the same in all the markets. So for the package units that we currently have in there, yes, we will be able to. So good thing is all these package units that we have sitting down in Kentucky and over in West Virginia, Those are the stores that sell most of them, even though we transfer them out every once in a while. We aren't going to have to move those package units around, which is really good news because John can only hold so much over there in West Virginia. Right. So Johnstone Supply came up with a website called SEER2.com. Very smart of them to get ahead of that in a hurry. It is free for anyone to use. It's not just for our employees. So if you have customers who are asking you about SEER2 and you want to point them in that direction, I would try to get ahead of the game and go ahead and point them in that direction now. The AHRI Selector tool is coming out. Johnstone Supply has done a very good job of that. We'll talk about that here in a minute. A few of the new model numbers have been released to us. What we've seen so far on these model numbers is they're a 15 to 25% increase over what we are currently doing. Also, to keep in mind that these new units are also much larger units. So if you have contractors out there that have some pretty small trucks, they're going to have to start thinking about how they're going to start transporting these things, which may be an opportunity that on the sales side we have to use our delivery trucks and help make the tech in the truck more efficient. The availability is going to be all over the place. There are spreadsheets out there that shows us when things are going to be made. Goodman's running a little bit behind right now, but you can use it as a rule of thumb to kind of get an idea, and I'll show you where places that you can find that information. This is a picture of the System Selector tool. Everyone who's in sales should be familiar with the System Selector tool, how it works. The new Johnstone ones are out there. Any of the systems that they have currently got going are going to be on the system, out there on the system, but it's going to work exactly like it used to. Out on Yammer, if you are not part of the product and pricing group, please go join it. That's where we mention any of the price changes that are out there. We also mention anything about new products and what's going on in the products. Once you join it, just like any other Yammer group, there's a file section. And in that file section, we keep a lot of our different files. And in one of the first files that you will find in there is going to be the cross-referencing for ACs and heat pumps. Johnstone Supply put out a bunch of Excel sheets that had all the Goodman, all the Coleman, everything that we had available to us of the cross-reference of new model numbers to old model numbers. I went ahead and put all of those together into one slide and made different tabs for each one of your Excels. So what you'll notice in this is column C has what your current model number is. Column J has what your new model number is. Column I is what's good, which is your Johnstone part number. I will not be updating this to all the new Johnstone part numbers because what we really care about is column J. So as you can see, there's only a few of them out there right now that have a Johnstone part number. Column G is very important for the outside salesmen who are signing up new dealers because it is telling you when is the last time that we as Johnstone Supply can place an order to Goodman for more equipment. So if you are the salesman who's out there pushing the product, doing a great job, the guy signs up and says, hey, I do all 14 SEER. Well, you need to start looking at the new 14, 15 SEER model numbers because we cannot order any more 14 SEER, or they're just going to have to deal with what we have in stock until we get the new ones. Column E and F is very important depending on what state you're in. If it is a yes in column E, we can sell it up here, but we cannot sell it down in Kentucky. Kentucky is column F because they are the South region. So you're going to want to make sure that your product is a yes down there. So if you take this and you look all the way to the right, when you go online, it's going to start showing you some of the production dates that are on there, when specs are going to be available, when pricing is going to be available. So that's where if you have a question on, hey, when do we think we're going to start seeing this stuff? One, we have to be out of the old. And two, we're going to have to be at least that date before we can actually see it. It also out there have when we can start placing orders. They are, like I said, they are running a little bit behind. We have full stock of what we wanted to bring in for those model numbers. So we've yet to order the new, but we are on the verge of starting to place some of the orders for the new. Nomenclature. Nomenclature is changing a little bit. They did one thing that was very smart of them, and they actually put in a spot in there to tell if you can buy it in the north or the south. We've not had that to our availability before. We've had to know what our SEER numbers are. Now at that middle digit, number 6 digit, is telling you, hey, is it N for north? Is it south? Or is it southeast and north? Or is it O for all regions? They do not have one that is just for the Southwest, because if you can sell it in Southwest, you can sell it everywhere. That's why they have an O. Digit where you see a 5 up there is telling you what your SEERs are. So if you can go through it and you can say, okay, I got a number 5. and that's roughly about a 15 SEER. They have on there 14.6 to 15.5 because out of the box, it is a 14.6. They don't know what you're matching it up to. So to be legal, they have to put 14.6 on your yellow guide that you're used to seeing, even though it can get up to a 15.5 if you're putting on the right TXVs and all. Do not get confused by the enhanced feature. The enhanced feature is your H in section 4. A lot of people are going to look at that and assume heat pump. It is not a heat pump. It is just enhanced. Goodman is still staying with their common X and Z, for X for the condenser and Z for the heat pump. So be used to that. Everything else to the right, number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all that is the same as it has been for many years. We are still having our BTUs, our voltage, our variation in our engineering, whether or not it's a major or minor change.
Okay, and then to help us be seen as the thought leader in this space and starting to really make sure we're getting ahead of this right now is all of our branch team members will be receiving one of these T-shirts. I will start to make sure those start to get out starting next week. And so, you know, our counter people, our branch managers, our warehouse people, delivery people, you know, we want to be able to have people, hey, ask me about this. Okay, let me tell you what it means and what you should deal with that. So, you know, we're going to start professing to the world what this is. We want to take advantage of that. So we're trying to make sure we got to get everybody on the same board over what this is and what to do with it. So be looking for those T-shirts going out there to make sure that we can start talking about it. Scott and I are not done with this topic for the rest of the year. We'll continue to do updates. That's SEER2.com is a good site, and Corp will continue to update that. But just be really open with our customers to let them know what's happening. Hopefully we shared some good information with you over what it is, what it's not, some of its implications. And, you know, of course, the largest thing for most of them is price and, you know, availability and what does it really look like for me and how do I make my changes? Unfortunately, that's a tough one, but it's through communication and just kind of working through things that we'll get through this pretty well. So what I'm going to do is we have a few minutes left. I would ask if you got any questions right now. The mic is open and yours. Please ask. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Tim's got his hand up. Go ahead.
Hey, can you go ahead, Jess?
No, I just had a quick question when there was a comment about we're not going to order any equipment until any new stuff till the old stuff is about gone, which I understand. The only question I have would be regarding the Kentucky region, with them not being able to sell current old stock. Are we going to be placing orders for them sooner just to make sure we can get ahead of the game for that market in particular?
We are. Our plan is to have the basic stuff in for January 1, but at the same time, try to transition out the other stuff up north.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of a in with the new, out with the old as soon as possible.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that's clarified for everyone. Thank
No,
you, Scott.
our stock is heavy enough down there right now. That's why none of it's currently on order.
Right. I get that. So no problem. Thank you.
Yep. What you got, Tim?
And this really doesn't have a lot to do with anything 16 SEER, right? This is all just anything that's 14 SEER in that range, right? As far as the SEER2 is concerned.
For the minimum, you are correct, but Goodman and Daikin is discontinuing every model number they have out there and rechanging everything over.
Okay, so if you have a scenario and you are in that southern region and you're installing a 16 SEER piece of equipment with the old manufacturer's label on it, it doesn't have the SEER2 rating, right? You can still install that unit because it meets the minimum.
It has to meet the minimum, so SEER2 minimum now. So technically, no, you can't because you have to have that SEER2 number on it.
Okay.
A unit that has SEER ratings on it will not have a SEER2 rating on it. and you have to have a SEER2 rating on it in that region.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
Well, and we are pretty, except for Florence, we are pretty good down there on that because the 3 stores in Kentucky did not stock anything above minimum SEER.
Gotcha. Okay. So in
That's
that
a good-
southern region, even if you're 16 SEER and it's an old label, you're SOL.
Yes,
You
that's
have to have the
correct.
SEER2.
It'll test.
Okay.
Correct. Unless
What?
someone decides to change something down the road of saying, hey, we've tested our 16 SEER and it qualifies for this SEER2 number, but I've not seen any of that yet.
Yeah.
That's where I was headed. That was my second question. If the contractor does the static pressure test and it's meeting or exceeding that SEER2 level, and it still has the old label, I know I'm splitting hairs here, but
No, it's a great question.
It is, but again, it's the lab test that they've got to do to be able to come back, and then the AHRI number and everything gets associated with it. So,
And I doubt Daikin is going to pay for that lab test
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the units are out of their building and already sold. So what do they care?
Yeah.
They got their money.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
no, it's
I
not
did-
splitting hairs, Tim. It's a good point, but it's one of those ones that we're going to get caught on. I guarantee you. Somehow,
Yeah.
some way, somebody's going to say, well, hell, I've got that reading. The label doesn't say so.
Now,
Yeah.
if your unit is not getting inspected, I'm sure you can get away with it. Will it allow you
Yeah.
to register it for warranty? I don't know that answer.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
That was just something that hit me. I had to
No,
ask.
great question.
No, appreciate that. That's a
Hey
good
guys,
one
so
to
we'll go
catch.
back to the pricing. Are we saying January 1, looking at the pricing in Kentucky, it's possibly going to go up to 25% increase?
The new model numbers that are replacing it, yes, from so far what we've seen is they are hovering right around 18% or so right now. And the reason we have 15 to 25% on there is we know some are going to be below that 18%, but we also know that Goodman likes to give us price increases. So if I tell you 18% right now, and then all of a sudden Goodman throws one of their 6% price increases at us, Dan Vance is going to come back to me saying, what happened to that 18%? Like, well, 18 plus 6, we're up to 24. So that's why we have that range in there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, when this is done, this recording is going to get, oh, we got another
Yep.
question, it sounds
Hey,
like.
Daniel, did you have a question?
See a hand up.
Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I just want to be clear on the AC and the heat pump in Kentucky. I had done a little research already on this, and it was my understanding that we can sell 13 SEER AC in the north until inventory runs out on a split system. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And in Kentucky, is my understanding we can sell 14 SEER heat pumps till inventory runs out. Is that correct?
That is correct as well.
Now, it's this AC in Kentucky that we cannot sell through the 14 SEER after January 1. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are correct. So anything after January 1 that's 14 SEER air conditioner split system, we will have to bring up to one of the northern stores to be able to sell it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood it right.
Nope, sounds like you're an expert.
You're doing the Friday call then, Dan, okay?
I'm gonna take Friday off. Is that okay?
Hey, so are we. No. No, appreciate the question, Dan. That's great.
Thank you.
All right, folks, here's what's going to happen. At the end of this, when I hit stop record, this is going to render and it's going to go automatically attached to this meeting invite for 3 o'clock. So it'll be out there and I will post this presentation. Please use as you need. Scott's available. I'm available. Just please reach out and just keep talking about it. And as we get more information, it might just be more about inventory and pricing stuff. We'll get back on the horn again on a quick call just to keep everybody well abreast of what's happening. And as you see things in the marketplace, bring them to us so that we can add it to what we're talking about.
Keep in mind, SEER2.com is available 24/7. It has a lot of the answers to your questions.
Yeah, it does. All right, folks. Scott and I bid you guys a great rest of the afternoon. And thanks for joining right now. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.